Mike Attic. We started on 153, and the thing that, since we got a lot of newcomers in here, the one thing that jumps off to me on that page was sort of toward the middle, and it's the thing that I always remember about 153. It says the age of miracles is still with us. And you know what that tells me is it tells me I need to stop looking for the big booming miracles and start looking for evidence in my life, even if it's small, that God's working. So those little small things can be a miracle. These things that were just described about Bill being there and the series of events, upon looking at a lot of these events, I've discovered that I really do believe that HP, God, whatever you want to call, had his hand in the creation of this. And those are some of the miracles that I'm talking about, and I'm going to describe one to you. And I think that when you hear it, you'll go, wow, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I should look for more miracles in a more realistic way, rather than waiting for somebody to be dead and waiting for somebody to raise them like Lazarus. Those are the kind of age of miracles that was being referred to. Huge miracles, water to wine, the ocean parts, and so everybody walks through. Those miracles are unbelievable. And the scientific mind would say, I have my doubts about whether they actually really happened. But I can tell you that there has been miracles in my life in recovery. And the little effort that it takes to stay here is well worth it. And it's nothing compared to the effort that it took to stay out there. So I'll describe with you the miracle we're talking about. We're talking about Bill in the hotel lobby. And it says he chose a guy at random from the directory. But that's not exactly true. He tells his story. You can look it up. It's on the net. It's when Dr. Bob died. He tells his story anyway. And it's in other things, in other books. He picked a reverend by the name of Reverend Tunks. And his mind was drawn to that name on that directory for a reason, because when he was a child, he used to go spelunking in caves with his buddies. And they called it taking a tunk. So when he saw that name, that's the one that he called. So he called this guy, and he tells him that, he said he was a rum hound from New York, and he's in Akron. That's what we're talking about. And I really need to work with somebody. Is there somebody that he can put me on? And the guy gave him, because the preacher, worked with people who were afflicted. Even before they knew what the hell to call this problem, he had people that he were in his parishioners or whatever they call it that were afflicted with this terrible thing that they had nothing to do but just lock you up in an insane asylum. Fuck the Hilton in the woods, okay, and the bony catfish, none of that shit. They put you in a padded cell. There was no chance you had. So he gave him 10 names. He gave Bill 10 names and phone numbers of people that were working with people in the Oxford group. That was the group before it was us. He called 9 people and nobody was home. He was fixing to leave his hotel room, and he was he left messages. He was fixing to leave his hotel room, and the phone started to ring as he was fixing to leave the room. And he went back, and only one of them called back, and he got with that guy. And that's the guy that told him to talk to Henrietta Seiberling, who we'll read about in a minute, who was fixing to divorce the drunk, wayward son of the Big Daddy Seiberling rubber magnate, which is why he was in Akron to start with. The thing is so intertwined and connected, it's unbelievable. He calls Henrietta. Now here's another part of the miracle. So it was Tunks. If he hadn't called that one, he may not got the names. 9 names and only one answered. There's another miracle. He calls this lady that he puts him on, and she was divorcing the son and fixing to leave. She wasn't even supposed to be on the compound. They lived in the little servants' quarters. The Seiberling wife and the drunk, wayward son she was leaving. And she happened to still be there, packing up a few last things. And she answers the phone. And Bill talks to her. And they set up the meeting. with Dr. Bob. Now, that's 3 little miracles if you think, wow, what a coincidence, right? He picks the correct name. Why? Because of his childhood. Just so happened he got 10 names, only 1 answered as he was fixing to leave. Okay, maybe we can discount that one too. Old girl happened to be on the compound. She was very rarely there. She was picking up a few last things, one last box of goodies. She was leaving his ass for good. She answers the phone. And because he meets Dr. Bob, and what transpired in a short period of time after that is the reason that we have the book in your hand right now. Now you could say, oh, those are interesting coincidences, but I can assure you that we should call it something different. We should call it God-incidences. When we talk about the age of miracles is still with us, I'm here to tell you that just this one small example of a small interchange between seemingly unconnected people in a distant town from where he was from. You tell me if you can't at least entertain the idea that a miracle took place and that God had his hand in this situation. Because no longer do we have to be locked up in an insane asylum. We can go to the place in the woods and we can eat the Peter Pan at the 5-pound bucket in each cottage that I remember was there with the crackers. And we can have the good food and we can have a chance to come to meetings like this and maybe get relieved of this disease that I've been suffering from. You tell me there's not miracles. I tell you, we just need to look a little closer. I've had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, and I'll pass.